What's the best cello model? Stradivari, Montagnana, Ruggeri? Who knows? Stay tuned and I will explain you a little bit this very delicate matter. Hello, back again. This is Edgar from Cremona, Italy. I'm making instruments from the tree to the best sounding instruments you can find. And I also make cellos, not as many as violins. The main reason that I didn't make so many cellos actually has been in the very origin and this very starting point of my career. Right away I made the first cello. It was a Guadagnini, and I didn't really have the feedback I wanted to get, and it was something missing on that sound. And for years I didn't understand. And then at a certain point I talked to somebody. That maker at the time explained me a few details, and these tiny details helped me already to make something a little bit better, because the cello has an additional dimension of sound. It's not only about volume, beauty, it's also something that if you close your eyes and you play, the sound should not come from the body itself, but should be somewhere in front of you. And while playing, you can adjust that sound ball, imaginary origin where the sound comes from, a little bit in front of you. That's a little bit what cellists were telling me. By adapting these new ingredients about the thicknesses of the top, I obtained immediately this fourth dimension of sound, and immediately then I had more pleasure in making cellos, because finally we're playing and sounding as musicians were looking for. Then I was certainly searching what is the best model, since the Guadagnini, which I made in the beginning, didn't sound that well. So then I was looking for a nice Strat. At that time there was the Mara Stradivari, very popular, everybody was talking about it. That cello was actually went down with a yacht in an harbor, and then they raised it up, it was all wet. It's a nice story about an instrument. Anyhow, I tried to work on that Mara, and still it was good sounding, but I didn't really break through. So I was still searching for the right model. Then I made a fat Mara, because after I got to know Carl Becker in Chicago, then I adapted a little bit his ideas, that he said that the Stradivaris are actually too narrow and that's not the best for a cello sound. So I made my Mara a little bit larger. Was already a little bit better, but was not yet exactly what I was looking for. And on the other side, I had already the Montagnana Sleeping Beauty, which was always a big runner, rather large model, but always the musicians were complaining, oh, my Montagnana, no, it won't fit into my case. I went a little bit deeper into the whole thing, and actually at the time, 20-30 years ago, people wanted to have everything standard. So they said the instrument, cello, full-size cello, 75.5, even 76. So if you adapt that measurement, 75.5 centimeters from this corner all the way down to beside here, 75.5 centimeter full-size cello. Now this here is a Montagnana, and on the Montagnana, if you look in the books, it's never, not even 75, it's rather 74.3, 74.4, something like this. That's the Antonio Stradivari core booth. And it's probably, from my point of view, the best sounding Stradivari model. Costs a lot. It's not a question to spend that much money. Already with a less than 10,000 of a Scala Perfetta, you can already have great pleasure, and it's an instrument which comes from my workshop. We have it Montagnana, we have it Stradivari, and that's actually already a great sounding instrument. I think it's worth checking out on my website and to see the cellos. You don't have to spend this fortune. It shouldn't. You know, it should be a pleasure to make music. Somehow I had already this slight idea that a shorter body makes a bigger C-string. It seems not very logic, but even adapting to a violin, that works. If you make it too long, it's a little bit too much volume for the strings, for the tuning we have, etc., etc. And the relation probably between body and sound or vibration or frequency we are creating on these instruments is probably not ideal. So a 74.5, let's say, on a Montagnana is definitely better for the fourth string. And on the other side, having it a little bit larger is also pretty good, because of a bigger resonance body makes more air vibrating, and so you can hear it better. But if it's too big, you kind of losing focus. So you're always a little bit on one side, you want one thing, and on the other, a little bit of the other. And Stradivari is a good violin maker, very good. The best when you look at it, when you listen to his instruments, great sounding. But on cellos, even him, if I study very, very carefully the list which I found here, his best year was 1709 with 24 violins and 1 cello. Just for my colleagues who want to limit the production here, because here in town people say, a violin maker can't make more than 12 violins. To conclude here, with Stradivari, he made 620 violins and 63 cellos. You can imagine that he certainly made the cellos. He didn't have the ability, the possibility to compare his instruments at that time so easy as. But the Montagnana in Venice, I have no idea how many cellos he made, but his cellos, nowadays at least, we appreciate their sound better. I have this idea somehow that it's a little bit more easy to convince a cellist with a Montagnana. The only doubt musicians have with a Montagnana is that they're afraid that it won't fit in the case, but this, if you make the right length, not too long, it fits in every case, okay? To conclude, I brought here 2 bags of 2 cellos we are making here. This here is a Montagnana, which is large, and compared to the Stradivari, which is a little bit more narrow. If I put them all together here like this, you see how much difference it is. In the upper area, it's actually a huge difference. In the lower, it's not that much. It's about 1 centimeter. And the length, about a centimeter here. Between Montagnana and Stradivari, there's like a world between them. The Stradivari is more focused, a little bit more tighter in sound, narrow. On the Montagnana, you can open up your legs this centimeter. That's not the point, I think. And it's on the upper part a little bit larger. That you definitely feel. So it's not in the lower, but in the upper you feel it a lot. But on the other side, you will be paid for a very full, rich, deep, rolling sound with a very sparkling and focused, nice A string. It's like a general idea which you have how a cello should sound, and then or you are rather on the Strat model sound, or you search something a little bit more particular, and then you rather go for the Montagnana. These are 2 extremes. In between this Stradivari and the Montagnana, you have all the other makers. These 2 type of sounds are there, and all the rest in between these 2 strong characters which are dominating actually the market. When you buy now a cello, I would try to eliminate the fact that the Montagnana is so big. Try to get rid of that. Measure the body, and if it is, let's say, 74 something, it will fit in every cello case, right? Just go for the sound, and then it's more a question, do you want it a little bit more sharper, a little bit more focused, which just comes straight to you, or do you want something which is always projecting but has a nice, full, rich, rolling sound which is similar to a human voice? It's not so easy to tell, because a good Stradivari is always a winning card, you know? Let me know what you like, and maybe I can make you the dream cello of your life. Stay tuned. Check out all the cellos on my web shop on violincellomaker.com and let me know what you're looking for. See you. Ciao, ciao.